It's December 31st, 2025. While the world looks forward to a new year, China's trillion-dollar electric dream is officially going up in smoke. Right now, thousands of state-of-the-art buses aren't moving passengers. They're rotting in silent EV graveyards across the country. From massive battery fires in Harbin to billion-dollar fraud cases in Dongguan, the CCP's green energy miracle has hit a dead end. The subsidies are gone. The manufacturers are bankrupt, and the future of transport is being sold for scrap metal. How did a global environmental campaign turn into one of the biggest industrial disasters in history? We're pulling back the curtain on the corruption and the failed tech Beijing doesn't want you to see. Welcome to China Uncovered. I'm your host, and today we're diving straight into the wreckage. Dongguan Bus Company Limited, the city's largest transit operator, is currently suing supplier Dongqing Hongwen for 431 million renminbi in damages. Looking back to 2018, they purchased 672 all-electric buses featuring a promised 8-year battery warranty. However, by 2021, just 3 years later, a massive portion of the fleet began failing due to battery issues and had to be pulled off the streets entirely. As we wrap up 2025, the fallout from this legal battle is still shaking the industry. Daily Economic News reports that Microvast supplied the lithium manganese oxide batteries for these buses. One industry expert noted that early on, some manufacturers prioritized rapid market growth over actual quality. They chose cheap, low-spec batteries and skipped essential high-temperature testing, which led to constant safety failures. Honestly, it looks like they traded passenger safety for a bigger slice of the market share during that initial EV gold rush. Just this past November, another alarming fire broke out in Foshan, Guangdong. An electric bus ignited while being towed for repairs following a battery failure. By 10:30 a.m., firefighters extinguished the blaze, and traffic resumed with no injuries reported. Sadly, self-igniting electric buses have become a regular sight in China recently. For instance, at Guay bus station, another electric vehicle went up in flames during the night. I'm not saying every electric car is a fire hazard, but those batteries are incredibly delicate. They can't handle bumps, scratches, or even extreme weather. If passengers had been trapped inside during that fire, it would have been a total disaster. Some folks think I'm being too hard on domestic EVs, but even now in late 2025, I still see them as a transitional phase. There are simply too many technical bugs that haven't been ironed out. What really gets me are the car executives who won't stop bragging about EVs while trashing gas cars. They claim EVs will replace gas engines in a few years, calling them outdated. Look, you might struggle to build a decent engine or transmission, but why ignore everything else? When Chinese-made EVs can finally take a bump without exploding, hold a charge in the freezing cold, and travel long distances easily, then we can talk about the future. Until those issues are fixed, they aren't even close to being ready. I'll only believe they're truly superior when the military starts relying on electric vehicles for heavy-duty operations. These buses don't just face fire risks, they have terrible charging and range issues too. In the winter, those lithium manganese batteries fail constantly. It's a huge headache for drivers trying to get through their daily routes on a cold day like today. For example, I spent 13 renminbi to charge my bus for over an hour, but only got 15 kilowatt hours. Meanwhile, lithium iron phosphate batteries can provide 17 kilowatt hours in just 25 minutes for the same cost. Up in Inner Mongolia, the freezing temperatures caused some electric buses to fall short on range. This forced one local company to temporarily switch back to using 2 gas-powered buses just to stay on schedule. While we expect the cold to hit performance, it's beyond frustrating when buses just die halfway through a trip under normal conditions. Take a look at this ridiculous situation. We were riding an electric bus up a hill when it suddenly stalled out. Everyone had to get off the bus to lighten the load, just so it could make it to the top. It's embarrassing for a modern transit system. In Harbin, a new energy bus suddenly caught fire while driving down the street. Firefighters arrived quickly to put out the flames. The investigation showed the fire started after the bus hit a manhole cover, which punctured the battery pack and caused a short circuit. These buses carry battery packs between 250 and 350 kilowatt hours. That's 3 to 5 times larger than what you'd find in a typical electric car. The higher the energy density, the faster a fire can spread through the vehicle. Once the temperature spikes, the flames become nearly impossible to put out, usually leading to a total loss. Public buses face brutal daily use, too. They run 16 to 20 hours a day, constantly starting and stopping, while also dealing with heavy climbing, fast acceleration, and sudden braking maneuvers. When the power gets low, these buses rely on frequent high-power DC fast charging, all while the AC runs nonstop, summer or winter. This intense duty cycle wears out bus batteries much faster than a standard passenger car. The nonstop high-energy demand creates massive heat, forcing the battery management system to work overtime, which significantly increases the risk of a catastrophic failure happening on the road. To solve these issues, bus battery systems need better safety backups, effective thermal runaway protection, and advanced cooling designs. Without those features, the chance of a fire goes up significantly. Ideally, batteries used for such heavy workloads should meet the absolute highest safety standards. However, in China, battery degradation has been much worse than anyone expected, and many manufacturers are still refusing to honor their warranties. Recently, a user from Anhui reported that his company's 20 new energy buses, bought from Zhongtong Bus, have been a total nightmare. The batteries frequently fail to charge, and within just 1 year, every single bus needed a new air pump. These vehicles break down so often that the company actually had to buy a dedicated tow truck just to haul them back to the shop. Their contract promised an 8-year warranty on the main electrical system, but Zhongtong Bus has since stopped providing any service. To get these buses back on the road, expensive repairs are needed. However, the transport company can't handle the massive revenue loss from the downtime or the extra repair bills. The manufacturer refuses to pay, and replacing the batteries remains prohibitively expensive even now in 2025. In Beijing, electric buses are being swapped back for old fuel-powered ones. With 591 buses out of commission, replacing the batteries would cost nearly 100 million renminbi. These so-called green buses, once praised for their environmental perks, are now sitting idle due to battery failures. In Beijing, Hebei, over 1,000 electric buses are parked, forcing the company to bring retired gas buses back into service just to keep things moving. It's not that they don't want to be eco-friendly. The reality is they just can't afford the new batteries. This isn't a quick fix. It's an incredibly expensive project. These bus batteries are only 5 years old, but a single replacement costs 170,000 renminbi. With 591 buses needing help, the total bill hits almost 100 million renminbi. The bus company is already drowning in 66 million renminbi of losses and can barely function. They simply lack the cash for battery swaps. Online users have pointed out how heartbreaking the situation is. After 3 years of saving on fuel, that money doesn't even cover the cost of a single battery replacement. To make matters worse, finding the right batteries is a struggle. Over 80 battery makers have gone bankrupt, and many older models are discontinued. Even with the money, the batteries might not exist anymore. In northern cities like Harbin, where it hits minus 25 degrees Celsius, electric bus range drops from 300 kilometers to just 180 kilometers. During peak hours, it can take 2 hours to charge, cutting total bus capacity by 15%. Gas buses are now seen as more reliable since they can just refuel and go. The vlogger noted that Beijing isn't an isolated case. Cities like Tianjin and Lanzhou are seeing similar shutdowns. In several areas, buses were pulled from service due to extreme battery degradation, forcing operators to go back to diesel vehicles. The core issue is obvious. Each electric bus costs 1.6 million renminbi, which is double the price of a standard fuel bus. Over its entire lifespan, an electric bus is 28% more expensive to run. With government subsidies now gone, these transit companies are drowning in debt. Drivers are suffering too. They can't use AC in the summer or heat in the winter during traffic jams because they have to save power. They're constantly anxious about the remaining range, terrified the bus will die and leave passengers stranded in the middle of a route. After the issues in Shangqiu, Hunan, and Beijing, electric buses in Huanggang, Hubei, are also starting to fail. A private bus company there with 140 electric buses has seen half its fleet go out of service. Those buses, bought in 2015, started having battery failures by year 2. Originally, a full charge lasted 7 or 8 trips, but now it barely makes it through 3, and some buses just die mid-trip. Recently, that company started replacing batteries in some of the faulty units, but it's not cheap. Replacing the battery for just one bus costs between 200,000 and 300,000 renminbi. The Baoding bus company tried replacing some batteries too, but many of those buses still suffered from frequent thermal runaway problems. After the expensive replacements, those buses were still unusable and are now just waiting to be sold for scrap. These problems actually go all the way back to the policy decisions made in 2012. That year, China launched its National New Energy Vehicle Plan, making EVs a strategic pillar for the country. From 2015 to 2020, China offered the world's biggest subsidies for electric buses. Each vehicle received between 300,000 and 500,000 renminbi from the central government, with local governments adding another 200,000 to 300,000 renminbi. Altogether, these massive subsidies covered more than half of the total purchase price. In 2017, Shenzhen became the first city to fully electrify its bus fleet, deploying 16,000 electric vehicles. Under the subsidy rules back then, the total subsidy reached up to 800,000 renminbi per bus. Audit reports show Shenzhen received over 20 billion renminbi in total subsidies. Yet, even with that massive funding, electric buses still face endless problems, and battery degradation is just the beginning. In Shenzhen, a new bus from Skywell struggled to even climb a small hill. Some users claim the maker used in-wheel motors to save money, but they lack enough traction. Another electric bus in the city suddenly lost control at a green light. A large banyan tree nearby took the hit, and the bus windows shattered instantly, almost like it went into a self-destruct mode. In one city, 20 buses were bought for nearly 10 million renminbi, but they quickly became zombie buses. The weirdest part is that the authorities claim they have no idea why. Zhang, a bus operator in Huaihua, Hunan, revealed his buses were grounded due to unpaid subsidies. He suspected they were bought using the money owed to him, though the local traffic bureau denied this. Even more frustrating is that the authorities haven't returned the security deposits to the drivers. There are about 60 vehicle owners who each paid a 5,000 renminbi security deposit plus a 1,000 renminbi service quality fee. Local officials in Huaihua have finally started an investigation into where the money actually went. In many cities, the more buses the local government buys, the more manufacturers are willing to slash prices. This allows authorities to claim much higher subsidy amounts, boost local GDP numbers, and make their official performance reviews look better. The result is a damaging cycle driven by EV subsidies that values quantity over actual quality. Both the makers and local governments care more about hitting targets than building reliable buses. To grab the most subsidy money, manufacturers rush production and cut corners, often skipping critical safety tests. Many electric bus models hit the streets within just 6 months of development. Cost-cutting has also split the battery supply chain, allowing smaller, less experienced producers into the market. This leads to inconsistent quality and high failure rates in wiring and battery management systems. Ultimately, the subsidy system has become a political tool tied to government goals. Financial pressure on local leaders is now tangled up with the interests of bus operators and the manufacturers. This environment has encouraged widespread fraud, misused subsidies, and fake production numbers, leading to systemic corruption. Poor oversight made that data easy to fake, creating huge opportunities for fraud. Other companies lied about vehicle performance or installed low-quality batteries, while some delivered buses with no battery packs at all. Despite these obvious violations, central and local governments kept releasing the funds. These practices represent a nationwide pattern of subsidy fraud. What started as a massive political campaign to show China's global leadership in green tech has instead revealed some very deep structural flaws. As we reach the end of 2025, the subsidy-fueled approach has left behind systemic corruption and huge economic bubbles. It has exposed weaknesses that go way beyond just the new energy vehicle sector alone. It's a sobering wake-up call for the entire industry.